Hey y'all, I'm CJ Peterson. Welcome to Book World: The Great Escape. My author over here is author Michael Scott Clifton. Today we're going to talk about characters with chemistry. Mike, how was your week?
Mel and I've been real busy. We were at the Mississippi Comic Con in Jackson, Mississippi, Saturday and Sunday. Of course, we drove down Friday, and it was a fantastic Comic Con. They had like 20,000 people that had bought tickets for Saturday, and it got so crowded that the fire marshal made the people come in lots. So once so many people had come through and left, then another group would come through. And of course, at Comic Cons, crowds are always really important. So, a lot of traffic, and set a record on book sales for one day on Saturday. And so we were, really happy. But it does make for a very long weekend. And we drove back on Sunday, and
Well, congratulations on that.
we had a very harrowing experience coming back, because apparently there's road construction on I-20 going through Shreveport, and the GPS took us all the way to Texarkana on Louisiana back roads, where there wasn't a single soul living, not a light, not a house. And we thought we were in a kind of deliverance type situation, just waiting for the banjo to start, coming up.
There's actually a lot of those back there. We found ourselves on that multiple times. Those get fun.
Well, we normally come back through Shreveport, and then we go through Jefferson, and then from Jefferson to Hugh Springs and back to Mount Pleasant. But this took us all the way to Texarkana, and the weirdest thing, we crossed a bridge that went across the Red River. Can you imagine how big that bridge had to be? There wasn't a single light anywhere on that bridge. It was like it was abandoned. And we came out in McLeod and Linden in Cass County. Mm-hmm. They took us north. Well, it is amazing we got back in time, but I'm telling you, it was, we thought we were hopelessly lost. But anyway, it was great.
Congratulations on the book sale.
Get home. So it was a great Comic Con. We got back, all in one piece. Everything was okay. And then today we went with some friends to Sulphur Springs, which is about 40 miles west of here, northwest of here. Yep. Mm-hmm. And anyway, while we were there, it's been hot. It's been dry. Out of the blue comes this storm that dumped probably 5 inches of rain in 30 or 45 minutes. And we were in this store. Nobody could leave because of the high winds and the rain. And as you know, we had a meeting talking about podcasts before today's Book World, and did not even make it back in time for, we got back late because, we couldn't get out. But anyway, great weekend.
We had all of that, like 80-mile-an-hour winds, a little bit of hail, literally like sheets of rain, and like rain band for from last night, from about 10:30 till about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We had that literally that long. So like parts of OKC literally do not have electricity. They have stop signs where stoplights are right now.
So maybe that's
in the city. Yeah.
Maybe that's the city. But yeah, like I said, it's weird because it was sunny, hot, humid, muggy day. And I actually watered this morning before we left. And the next thing we're up there, and this storm comes through. So that old adage about if you don't like the weather, particularly in Texas, don't worry, it's going to change. So just wait. And it sure did. So anyway, we had a great Comic Con, sold a lot of books, got to meet a whole new set of readers, and very appreciative of having these opportunities. Won't have another Comic Con until August. Mm-hmm. And then we'll have the Bell County Comic Con, followed by the Tulsa Comic Con, which will be in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and closer to your neck of the woods, CJ.
Yeah, as you're going that way, we're going to be going south toward Lufkin. Our next Comic Con is August 17th and 18th down in Lufkin, Texas. We're going to be having Kevin Sorbo. We're going to be having Lizzie and Amanda, who are characters from Amazing Digital Circus. And they announced Peter Kalamis, who's an amazing voice actor, will be there. And then also Carla Perez, who played one of the Power Rangers villains, Ruby. I can't remember what her name is. Really a bad person. Can't remember who it is, but she's a super sweetheart. So super, super excited to be there. Sorry you're not gonna make it, but 3 Comic Cons in 1 month? Not a thing I would do either. So,
That
yeah,
was it was. I mean, the one that the same, Javier that puts on the same Comic Con in Longview, which was an awesome
mhm,
Comic Con. It was just tremendous, and I hate having not to go to that Lufkin, which I imagine will be just as successful.
mhm. Yeah, no, super like I said, the crew that's gonna be there, I am so excited, cannot wait. I'm excited. Like I said, I know that Kevin Sorbo is gonna be there. He's gonna be doing another movie night. Love those. Those are so fun. He talks about like some of the little behind the scenes stuff that always makes it for fun. You get pictures with them. I love doing that. And then like I said, Color Perez, I've worked with one with her before. She's so sweet. The girls from Amazing Digital Circus will be on the ones are they them. So Amanda and Lizzie from Amazing Digital Circus will be there. And then Peter Kalamis. He was a really cool voice actor. He's been in uh, Dragon Ball Z. He was one of the OG Dragon Ball Z guys, and he was also Yoda from the Lego Movie.
Oh, okay.
So some really cool people will be there that I know of, and maybe announcing more. I don't know. We will see. Um,
Well, readers may wonder. I mean, people that watch the podcast may wonder, well, why are you part of Comic Cons, or why do you attend them?
because we're sci-fi geeks, but we
Right.
also write sci-fi fantasy books.
And
So they
those people are our people.
Mhm. So they fit in perfectly with our stuff. I'm a multi-genre author, but my stuff also falls into the sci-fi stuff, and then Mike's stuff is sci-fi and fantasy. And so because of that, the sci-fi fantasy stuff that falls into the Comic Cons is actually a perfect place
It
for
is.
us to be.
Yeah.
And that's where we found actually some of our authors. Whit McClendon, who was here last week or the week before, a couple weeks ago,
Right.
is where we found one of him. We found him. I know we found a couple other authors there. Kelly Lynn Colby. We found Danielle um, uh, McDonough was
Right.
that's where we found her. We found a lot of authors at the Comic Cons.
It's a good fit for what we write, and it's not the only book events that we go to, uh, but given a lot of book events, maybe smaller venues, or they may be spread out over a larger area like a festival or something like
Hmm.
that. But Comic Cons are just a natural fit for science fiction, fantasy, magical
Hmm.
adventure if you write in that genre. And
Definitely.
yep,
But today we're going to be talking about characters with chemistry. When some people think about chemistry, they think just about romance. And I'm going to say, mm, hold on. There's more than just chemistry. Mike is married. I am married. We're not married to each other, but we have chemistry. If we didn't have chemistry, we wouldn't be on the fourth season right now. You have to have some sort of chemistry with your partners, whoever they may be. I have another podcast, and the people on there, I have chemistry with them, and they are Mamirella and Yukita. You have to be able to mesh with your people. That's chemistry. And so when you have chemistry, whether it's military buddies have chemistry with each other, when you don't have chemistry with somebody, everybody knows it when you're around. Because some people, you just do not have chemistry with people, and it's like sometimes when you meet somebody, you know immediately if you do not have chemistry with them. Sometimes it just does not mesh immediately. You just know it. The chemistry is just like oil and water. You just don't. But the chemistry counts for like military, police, FBI, CIA. You can have chemistry with firefighters. You can have chemistry with, any type of EMS. You have chemistry with friends. In the one book that I wrote about the Out of Time series is the ones, the Sands of Time trilogy. There's a bunch of teenagers. They all have chemistry. Sometimes their chemistry clash, but still they had chemistry. And it's like chemistry is not necessarily just romantic. Chemistry has to do sometimes with buddy buddy. Sometimes it has to do with making sure that the people just absolutely mesh. Sometimes when you think of Lord of the Rings, that group that went out to try to make sure that Frodo and his buddy made it to Samwise Gamgee, made it to Mordor to turn that ring in. That group had chemistry. Chemistry is meshing. It's making sure that you people mesh together. You can't have chemistry if your character is flat. I can tell you that right now.
Right. Right.
Chemistry comes with history. Chemistry comes with making sure that your people are more than 2D. They have to be 3D people. They have history. Um, trauma bonding is a thing. Um, you know, that builds chemistry. There are different ways to build chemistry within your characters. Tons and tons of ways.
Right. When characters that can have conflict with each other,
Mhm.
and often obviously authors do write characters, good guy, bad guy, in between guy or girl, and so you have um, sympathetic protagonist, you have uh, evil protagonists, you have main characters and minor characters that can be good guys, bad guys, or somewhere in between. If you're writing something that involves romance or something like that, obviously there has to be chemistry with that. So
Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes had
right,
chemistry.
right, and it's the the worst mistake I think a writer can make is having characters that are interacting with one another in the book, in the story,
Hmm.
that do not have chemistry with each other. Now, again, if it's done deliberately because you're creating conflict,
Hmm.
okay, obviously that's something you want to do because it's part of the story. But if you have, for example, a main character that's a male and one that's a female that have some sort of romantic entanglements with each other, and you write as if one character doesn't, in the writing, doesn't really display affection in the course of what they do and how they're described and in their actions, or the other character doesn't respond in kind by returning that affection, then you don't really have a chemistry there,
Hmm.
and you've written in romance that doesn't really exist because it's not showing in the writing and in the relationship that these characters have. And friendship, same way, best buddy, best friend, best pal, best girlfriend, you know well, how do we know that? Well, it's because the writer introduces those characters and they interact with each other in a way that's apparent to the reader that there is chemistry between them. And I've read some books, and I'm sure you have too, CJ, uh, that they're written in such a way that the impression that the reader, which was at the time me, okay, reading the book, um, didn't have anything, zero, in common with either their best friend or their romantic other, and that just didn't make any sense. And that's a terrible mistake that a writer can make if you're trying to create relationships between characters. Again, be it friendships, casual acquaintances, or even romantic entanglements. And we've all seen, you know, writing, read books, and things like that
Hmm.
where uh, there hasn't been any chemistry, at least not much, that was written in between different characters.
Yeah, and it's a matter of the show don't tell. Don't say they were best friends. Show they're best friends.
Exactly.
It's
Right.
kind of like The Witcher. You had The Witcher and Yaskir. You can show that, yeah, they might look like they hate each other, but in reality, they're actually best friends. The bard from The Witcher, they're actually best friends when it comes down to it because they prove it in the toward the end of it that they would give each other. It's like when you can show the fact that there is chemistry even there, and even the chemistry of hating each other is still a chemistry. It's how you play it. When there's an abrasive chemistry, that's still a chemistry. So I would kind of still argue it that way. It's how it's written. When there's just a flat sandpaper, then honestly, I would almost call that bad writing because there is still chemistry in there, even if you don't like each other. Do you know what I mean?
Right. You
So
know,
you can still do that because the chemistry is still there, even if you hate each other, because there's a reason why you don't like each other.
the
Sometimes
key,
it's just your chemistry, you just don't like each other, but there's still a reason, and it's still a matter of, okay, we can agree to disagree, the fact that we really just don't like each other. Just our chemistries just don't mesh, and that's fine. I just don't like you. I don't like the way that you react to people, and that's fine. It's okay to not like you. Um, I don't like your personality, and that's fine. But bad writing is just like, you walked into my life and I just hate you. No, there has to be some sort of a reason. Is it your attitude that you have toward other people, that you remind me of somebody? That's good writing.
what you said earlier, I think about show versus tell is very important in all writing, obviously, but in creating your characters, you just you can't. You have to show if two people like each other, maybe they love each other. Okay,
Mhm.
you have to show that development,
Mhm.
and you have to show how they came to love each other or what that looks like. You know,
Mhm.
and you just can't say, "Oh, they fell in love." Well, how
Yeah.
or why
And
did they?
then if they start off where, it's two people end up lovers, but they start off like quarreling, it's not going to be an overnight, oh, we fell in love. No, that's honey, that's not how that works.
If you've ever seen the movie classic African Queen with
Mhm.
Katharine Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart,
Mhm.
they start out hating each other. He's this gruff, smelly, uh, you know, person. As I'm talking about Humphrey Bogart, that
Mhm.
doesn't have a lot of manners, who happens to run a boat service up a river.
Mhm.
And then Katharine Hepburn is more polished and urbane woman who thinks he's an insufferable, thug, and he thinks she's a highbrowed, uh, you know, uh, know-it-all. And but during the course of their time together, when they're forced to be together, they develop a relationship and actually end up falling in love. And that was, a perfect, segue from conflict to caring for each other. And
But how they did it was how it works because, yes, she was a highbrow snob. Yes, he was a little bit
I,
lower class thug. What they learned was she saw parts of him, he saw parts of her, and she learned to help in this area, and he saw her soften. She saw him soften parts of what she thought was jaded. They kind of learned to soften each other's rough sides, and they learned to come
right.
down to each other's levels. That is slow chemistry, but that's good writing.
I think the magic in writing uh, characters and the way you want them presented and the type of relationships that you want them, either antagonist or protagonist, sympathetic or unsympathetic. Uh, that's that's in that's in the writing and the time that a writer puts in. And I think too many writers take shortcuts
Mhm.
now, especially nowadays, take shortcuts, and they don't fully develop or flesh out characters and show either why they like or dislike each other, or how they used to dislike each other and now they like each other, love each other, whatever. And you don't really. I mean, that's the whole point of of the writing, is to show the journey of the
Mhm.
characters to the point that they're at, where they're either at each other's throats, or they're good friends, or they're enemies, and they fall in love. You know, that's a lot of people read, and they read stories like that because they want to know about the characters
They want
and
to know the
how they
journey.
can be.
It's
Right.
it's it's all about the journey.
And
They
you
they want
can't cut that part out. You
yeah.
can't take shortcuts.
People are all about the instant society anymore, and it's
Yes. Yeah.
not an instant relationship. People are like, well, it's instant gratification. It's microwave popcorn. It's the air fryer. It's the Instapot. No, that's not what a relationship is. It's not an Insta heart. It's not an Insta relationship. It's all about the journey. The journey is life.
Right.
Relationships are still about that journey. They're still crockpots. A heart is still a crockpot. It is still an instant journey. It's still a slow journey. It still takes that crawl. And so if it still takes into book 2 to make that journey go over, then it still takes into book 2.
Right.
And I'm still for trilogies. I'm still for 5-book series. I'm still for that sort of thing because people actually like to invest into characters. People actually they're okay with single books, but I've actually found people prefer series because readers like to be involved in characters. They actually get mad when they really like a character and it's a single book. They're like, "Seriously, can you write more on this character because I actually like them?"
The book I'm currently writing is called The Endgame, and it was based on a short story that I wrote and actually won an award on a couple years ago. And it's a story about a basketball coach
Mhm.
who ends up in an East Texas town and has conflict immediately with the head football coach and basketball coach. But two of the characters in the main character's life, his assistant coach and the woman he ends up falling in love with, he has absolutely nothing in common with. So the 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 mountain to climb there, the magic in the writing, if you want to call it that, the essence of what we do as writers, is to how do you take these unlike characters and have them reach a point where they become friends or
Mhm.
lovers, if you want to call it that, to go that to that point, um, and make it believable, so that well, if these unlikely things happen, it has to be believable,
Mhm.
and you have to be able to write in a way that shows the journey from these people from unlike backgrounds who have absolutely nothing in common, come together and actually end up being friends, pals, and in some cases even lovers. And um, and 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 that is the 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 is the creation of the chemistry, as the topic as we're talking about today. It's in the writing, and
Mhm.
if it was easy, everybody would have
Mhm.
bestsellers. Okay, it's not as easy as it sounds. You have to take the time and effort to make sure that the chemistry that we've been talking about on the podcast today is something that readers find believable, plausible,
Mhm.
and is written in such a way that it follows the story of your characters and doesn't conflict.
Mhm. Now here's the deal is that people are put together in various situations. They always say opposites attract.
Right?
So whether it's police partners, whether it's EMT partners, whether it's paramedic partners, whether it's actual romantic partners. Yes, opposites attract, but it's how they got there that matters.
Exactly.
So, were they assigned police officers? Okay, you put two opposite police officers who are usually alpha, whether it's an alpha female, alpha male, two alpha males, two alpha females, who would not want to be in that vehicle. Um, in the same vehicle and they are complete opposites, either way, you put two alphas in a vehicle who are opposites, they are going to be at each other's throats until one of them has to be alpha of the alphas. So one's a trainer and one's a not. they have to find who is going to be the alpha of the alphas. So there's going to be a fight and there's going to be some sort of
Right.
tug of war. When it comes to a romantic relationship, there's going to be a tug of war regardless when it comes to any sort of opposites attract situation. There's in order for there to be a relationship, there has to be a tug of war because there has to be a respect on both sides. It's not going to be a submissive, oh, we're coming together. Oh, we're opposites. And oh, we're just going to roll over. That is not how that works. It's not going to be, oh, hey, I like you. You like me. Okay, let's go out. And oh, hey, we're just going to go have fun. And no, we're going to be opposites. Oh, it's going to be great. And we're going to go and live happily ever after. That is not how a relationship works.
Well, chemistry also means when you create the bad guy, the bad girl, the evil
Hmm.
person. Okay, the the chemistry that in that situation is what makes that person evil or
Hmm.
unlikable, or defines them as the again as perhaps the antagonist. And so chemistry isn't just love and roses. It's
What triggered it?
right. It also, you're going to the opposite. You're defining there is no chemistry, but why isn't there?
Hmm.
Okay, and that's again has to be part of the writing. How did you get to that point,
Hmm.
or what made it? What makes this person evil? Cersei Lannister in the Game of Thrones here. Everybody just don't like Cersei. Well, why? Well, it took what 8 seasons to show why. Those things have to be part of the so-called chemistry as
Hmm.
well, in terms of you have to have believable bad guys and bad girls and people who are genuinely unlikable for a reason.
Hmm.
And again, I think the point you made earlier, I have to go back to again, CJ, is you can't tell it in your
Hmm.
writing. You have to show it. You have to have that journey and have the reader follow to the conclusion as to why these people are, you know, are the yin to someone else's yang, so to speak,
If
yin to somebody else.
as as the writer, if you as the writer can get the reader to understand, not necessarily like, but simply understand the villain or the bad guy as
Mhm.
to why they are the way they are, to
Right.
the point of maybe slight empathy to, okay, I can actually see why they are that way. I might actually be that way. I can kind of get it. Then that's good writing.
I guess if I had to sum up the what today's topic on chemistry, it's you just can't throw a bunch of characters into a story
Nope.
without having some sort of development as to who and why and who they are, why they are the way they are, and how they got to the point they were at,
Hmm.
wherever you start them in the story. You just
Exactly.
you just can't throw characters in there. You have to have them developed to the point where the reader understands why what makes them tick, and why they are what they are. And
And you're not going to just dump it all in at one shot.
yeah.
You've got to sprinkle it a little at a time, and that's the whole following of the character arcs.
And I think that's part of the chemistry.
Hmm.
I mean, that we're talking about, because again, you have a formula here of how these different characters interact with one another, but you can't get to that point until you define who the characters are, and they then that's the quote chemistry unquote of the characters, either good, bad, somewhere in between, protagonist, antagonist, good guy, bad guy. Uh, that is the magic of the writing that an author does, is to show, not tell, the reader these very important facets of the characters in your story.
100% agree. And with that, I don't think anything else can be added. Next week, we're going to be talking about passive versus active writing. And then the week after, there will be no book world. I'm coming back in after that with a special guest. So make sure not to miss book world next week. And thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys next week. Bye.